Thank you all so much for being here. It just warms my heart to see so many people in the community that are my friends, that are business owners, that are movers and shakers, really doing things all across the board. And another thing that I really love about this room is I know that there is a wide range of where people come from, where they live, and what party they belong to. And I love that. So thank you so much. I am Angel Castillo, and I am officially declaring my candidacy for Ogden Mayor. So we'll talk about the real basic things, because when everybody wants to say, well, what do you stand for? What are your platforms? When you're in government, there is the actual tactics, and then there's the vision. And the tactics drive the vision. So I'm going to talk about the tactics first, and then we'll talk about the vision. And the vision is long-term, and the vision includes you and needs you to move us forward to make Salt Lake City jealous again. The first three things that are going to be part of my tactics as Ogden City Mayor is a pathway to home ownership. Nobody wants to drive over an hour to see grandma. And then we need to make sure that we right-size this budget. And I commit to cutting taxes within a year of being elected because there's that much waste. And I am driving everybody towards equitable access to capital and opportunity. And let's go back and remember equitable. Equitable for everyone. We have a majority population in our Ogden school districts. We have over 32,000 folks that are residents of this great city in Ogden that are Hispanic, Latino. And those folks are not always given access. And I want to make sure that no matter where you live, what your zip code is, what color your skin is, what's in your wallet, that you have equitable access to capital and opportunity so that we all have the freedom to thrive, to breathe clean air, to make a good living, and pursue our dreams. Housing is a big deal for me because I did not come from ample opportunity. I was raised by a single mom who worked 2 jobs nights at the Salerno Cookie Factory in Chicago. And I know what the government cheese tastes like. And it's no beehive cheese, let me tell you. It's not bad, but it's not beehive. And so I understand what it is to worry about making rent. I remember my first experience with housing as a challenge is 8 years old. I walk into the kitchen, my mom is on the table, and the entire table is filled with quarters, stacks of quarters. And to 8-year-old me, I'm very excited because that means I can get a quarter. I can go to the corner store and I can get a gumball or one of those little toys that comes out in the little bubble. And I ask my mom, can I have a quarter? And my mom drops her head, and then she looks up at me and she starts to tear up. And she said, no, I can't give you a quarter because these quarters are how we're gonna pay our rent. And if we don't pay our rent, we're gonna be homeless, to 8-year-old me. So I understand what it is in the economy that we're at now with a shortage of housing that is accessible to all, to our working class families, to the good people that work at Autoleave, to the people that cut your hair, to the people that serve your food and work at your coffee shop. All of us deserve equitable access to achieve home ownership. And the way that we're doing things right now in Ogden, it's the same thing, not getting a different result. We have to examine what housing looks like for people entering into the market, and that is going to take some creativity. That is going to take community land trusts. That is going to take making sure we have zoning that applies to smaller units on standard lots. And while we do want multifamily units, we want to protect the integrity of our single family neighborhoods. And the way we do that is soft density. We are not going to put multifamily buildings everywhere. We're going to work with community, and we're going to find out where we can filter in that soft density, and we need to change our code so that we can have smaller units for home ownership, because home ownership is the fastest way to financial freedom and a way out of intergenerational poverty. And housing is an economic problem. If our communities continue to put most of their monthly paycheck towards their rent, our local businesses and economies suffer. If you are over rent burdened, you are not going to coffee shops, you are not going to restaurants, you are not buying things for your family here in our local businesses. And that is also tied to what I like to call economic gardening. I want to change the focus of our city to not continue to relentlessly pursue out-of-state developers that don't live here bringing in business. I want to look at the data and I want to see, is that $165 million bond that you're going to get for a parking lot and office building, is that going to create the kind of lift that I want to see with our community? How much lift is that going to give our local businesses? Imagine what a $165 million bond could do for our local businesses if we took that type of money and put it into our local businesses. We have a local success story that not many people know about, but I found out about last week at the Utah Hispanic Chamber of Commerce. Señor Pollo, anybody been there? Yeah, it's delicious. Opened during the pandemic. 9 stores now, 9 in less than 2 years. That is what happens if people have access to capital. And we want to make sure that we are lifting up all of our community, no matter where you live, no matter what your zip code is, no matter what the color of your skin is, no matter what's in your wallet, you deserve access to equitable capital, an equitable path to home ownership. I basically have 3 tenets that are going to help drive our business. And we're not going to go into detail today because I am sticking to that 10-minute mark, because I'm going to take the rest of my campaign as we move towards June in the primary to do listening sessions. Because while I believe I have an idea of where we can create lift for our communities, you should never make decisions about populations that you don't have direct experience with, because what they want and what they need might not match what municipal government wants, and we need to meet in the middle. We need to have a fiscally conservative budget and a light regulatory environment so that you have social inclusion. That is the important part. Fiscally conservative, light regulatory environment, and socially inclusive, meaning access for all. No matter what your income is, you need a pathway to access capital to build your business, to buy your first home, to help your kids go to college, go to tech school, be an entrepreneur. We want to keep our kids here, and all of these things are interconnected. If your kids can't afford to live here, you don't get to see your grandkids. They go somewhere else with a higher salary. I want an economic garden to lift our local businesses with equitable access to capital. Thank you. And if you know me, you know I will not shut up about public safety. I have always supported our police department, and we need to right-size the budget and redirect some of that to make sure that our officers are fully supported. Our officers have the most calls of any department in the entire state, and we don't pay as much, and we constantly have an attrition rate of losing. Now, we did just give them a raise, but that's not going to be enough. We need to make sure that their workload is manageable, that they have time to do the kind of policing that all of our communities need. Beat cops on the street, first name basis, and a connection, because it's all about customer service. My vision for Ogden is to follow in the path of the previous governor, Gary Herbert, in right-sizing our budget. Governor Herbert reduced Utah's budget by 35% and increased productivity. And that is for theory of constraints, practicing theory of constraints. And that is, who is your primary customer? What is their need that they have, and why can't they solve it today? That requires conversations, making sure that there is flow, and making sure that our front lines, no matter where they are, in the planning department, in the police department, or the clerk where you're going to pull a report. Customer service, how can we help you? How can we make your life easier? How can we make everything easier? Theory of constraints is about removing friction, and I intend to do that. So, we have a decision. You have a choice. You have two choices. You have a choice in June, and you have a choice on November 5th. And I would like to ask you to join me, Angel Castillo, to right-size our budget, to improve access to home ownership, and to lift our local businesses and prioritize putting people first. So please join me and vote Angel Castillo for Ogden Mayor in the June primary, and let's do this.